First of all, the commitment of the British government to climate, development, women's empowerment, and the most vulnerable communities in Africa is unparalleled. And so the ambitions of the UK in the developing world are phenomenal. The question is, how do you achieve these goals of eradicating poverty through access to energy? And in Israel, I'm the co-founder of the Arava Power Company. We had a vision to get the south of the country, from the Red Sea to the Dead Sea, to be powered 100% by solar during the day by 2020. And everyone said that's impossible. By 2020, we're going to be at 100%. And so our vision for Africa is really to bring this know-how and financing and capacity building to African countries so you can have complete electrification, particularly from solar during the day, and then other green technologies during the evening. We built the first utility-scale solar field in sub-Sahara Africa in Rwanda that's supplying 6% of the country's generation capacity. And we couldn't have done it without some grant money from the British government, from the EP, as well as some financing from one of their African infrastructure funds. So we've been partners with the British government. The idea now is, how do you replicate and scale? And so to do that, it's a business model for changing the world. It's a business model for alleviating and lifting countries, entire countries, out of poverty. And so we're working with the British government in Kenya and a whole range of other countries. In terms of academic institutions, we're always doing knowledge transfer. We're part of the Israeli Foreign Ministry has a training program for African officials for 3 weeks. So we do the solar training when they come to Israel. And in Ethiopia, we're working with 10 universities. We're going to power 10 universities with wind and solar. But even more important than just the clean and affordable energy is that they're going to be living laboratories, these solar fields and wind farms, to train hopefully 200,000 engineers over 25, 30 years. And so we do believe in capacity building, and we're always working with local teams, of course, because otherwise how do you navigate? And you want to leave as many of the jobs and the capital in the country, because we're trying to do economic development. Look, in Africa, we saw the revolution that cell phones have, this amazing leapfrogging. And with renewable energies now, there's 600 million people today in Africa without access to energy. There's 200 million plus burning expensive and polluting diesel, right? So it's 800 million people whose lives could be made so much better, it would give them the empowerment to start small businesses and just have some of the basic things that we take for granted in life. That, whether you can use it for pumping or cleaning water, you can use it to start small businesses, you can use it to accelerate your agricultural output, you can use it to refrigerate vaccines. There's so much that we take for granted. And so with 800 million people without access to clean and affordable energy, this can be the most transformative gift that the partnership that we have with the British government could really help fulfill the wishes of the British people and the noble aspirations of DFID and CDC. We're proud to have an office in London, and we also work with British-based companies. We bid out always, we tender out the different roles, and we worked with a British security company. We're looking at British financing, that therefore the British taxpayers will make money from the successful completion and implementation of some of these power projects, which are revenue-producing cash assets. So it'll add to the bottom line, it will add jobs, it'll add knowledge. If British society could have already fulfilled this mandate, they would have done so already on its own. But it's actually now the working together and the partnership between groups like us and Israeli R&D and know-how with really the commitment and resources and heart of the British people. We actually believe we can lift an entire continent out of darkness and out of poverty. It has to be win-win if it's going to work, and it can't just be charity. Charity is helpful, grants are helpful, but you need a business model to be able to scale. There's not enough charity and foreign aid to lift a continent out of poverty, but if you can use your charity and foreign aid in strategic ways so that the private sector can come in partnership with the British government, that's the winning formula. We always work with local communities and with local partners. We always have to do a social and environmental impact assessment also, just to make sure that we're listening to them to see what they need and what we could provide. It's interesting, men and women sometimes have different takes. Sometimes we separate them out for the interviews. We always have initial buy-in. In Rwanda, we're working with an NGO called the Anglo-Israel Shalom Youth Village, 500 orphans from the genocide and its after effects, and that's really, really important. And we're always trying to partner with different groups. In Mozambique, we're actually partnered with the Anglican Church. In Eswatini, which used to be Swaziland, we're partnering with the Anglican Church because the church cares about its people, right? And they also have access to land and some government relations. So the hardest part is the government relations. We are proud to be bound by the UK Anti-Bribery Act, which means our projects take twice as long. And so to have the British government with us to fight, to be able to get clean, bankable deals with the local empowerment and local buy-in is really important.